keep fighting the fight.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball podcast brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today, Thursday in the NBA, 4 games on. I'm only going to be covering the first 3 of those games. Anything interesting happens in that Blazers-Clippers game, I will let you know later on. Looking at the first 3 games there, injury news as well. Thankfully, not too much of it today. And then previewing a massive 11-game slate for Friday. Michael Bolton.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it indeed. Just a quick note, if you're only listen to these recap shows, I'm doing all these other mini 10 to 15 minute shows during the week, and I think you'll find them useful. You can find them on the YouTube channel. You can find them in the same feed that you find your audio podcast. So go and check them out as well. Today I did a rookie report one, going through the top 9 rookies so far in the NBA. I did a waiver wire ads, a players to drop list, a sell high list, a buy low list, a weekly preview show. I think that's all the ones I've done. So I think I did 6 mini shows this week, plus the pre-game show on Wednesday as well. So lots of content for you to consume. So don't just check out this daily recap show. There's all those other mini shows that are coming out as well. All right, let's talk about these games from Thursday in the NBA. The first one of those games was the revenge game, the double revenge, the Boston Celtics going to Charlotte to take on the Hornets. The Celtics get the win, 108-87. Let's check in on Kemba Walker's revenge game, 14 points on 33% shooting. All right. 3 triples with 6 assists and a steal. There was other revenge games. We'll get to them soon. Strong game from Kemba. Well, it's actually not a strong game from Kemba. The assists are still nice. He's providing, I guess, similar value to what we expected to be that, not... People were looking at him as a top 15 sort of guy in some areas. It was not where I was looking at him. He's in that third round discussion, which is about where you want him. Gordon Hayward looks amazing. 20 points, 10 rebounds, 6 assists. Elite shooting numbers, especially when you compare it to what he did last season. That's really impressive to see Hayward doing this. There's going to be some level of regression, but he is back, probably back to his Utah level, I would say. Big game from Tatum as well, 23-9. 4 triples, 2 steals, and a block. Contributing in these other categories is what he needs to do to push out from being a top 50 guy into a top 30 sort of a player. Jaylen Brown returned and was very Jaylen Brownish. 12-5 with 1 assist and 1 steal. He still probably should be a 12-team league guy, but he's far from a breakout guy or a must-roster guy in every single 10-team format or anything along those lines. He just is solid at the back end. Marcus Smart, that probably deserves a giggity. Giggity. Marcus Smart only played 22 minutes. He got into some foul trouble. Still had 5 assists and 2 steals. And honestly, if you've got Marcus Smart on your team, 1 3, 5 assists and 2 steals, I don't know what more you want, really. That's pretty much what you've got him on your team for. You'd like more minutes. You'd like a better field goal percentage. You'd like him not to have 5 fouls. But otherwise, it's pretty close. While Daniel Tice, he got into foul trouble too. 20 minutes in the start for Enes Kanter. We had Grant Williams filling in. We had the Rock DJ playing 13 minutes. Robert Williams is just not up to being a big minute NBA center at this point. Will he ever be? I'm not sure, but he's a long way away from that. As long as Kanter's out, Tice is the stream player. For the Hornets, let's check in on the other revenge game. Terry Rozier against his former team. He hated how they used him last season. They were really holding him back. They restricted him. He wanted out of there in the best way possible. He's a starter, so he had what to get revenge on them. He had 3 points on 9% shooting. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and a steal for Rozier. He got to the line 1 time. He really showed those Celtics that he is a starter, and he should have been playing more last year. I say this not even in jest, because revenge games are bullshit. And I think we all realize that. Sometimes players will have big games against their former teams. Sometimes they won't. Just like players will sometimes have big games for God knows what reason. No reason at all. It's not something that you can be banking on for DFS purposes or whatever it is. It's not a thing. It's not a thing. Okay. And that's not to say that some players don't have bigger games, because they do. And some days they have worse games. And sometimes they have average games, just like every other day. Anyway, shit from Rozier. He is not their best point guard. Devontae Graham is. They paid him like he is. And they're wrong. Simple as that. It was obvious at the time. Now, he's still going to get the opportunities to be a fantasy option. He's not a drop player under any circumstance. He will be better than this on most nights. In fact, rewind your game log one game, and you'll see that he'll be better than this on most nights because he can still put up numbers, but he is not good. It's a simple equation. He's just not good. But the numbers will be there as long as you're ready to punt field goal percentage. As for Graham, he didn't shoot well, and he was still good. 15 points in 30 minutes, 9 assists, 2 steals, poor shooting from the field and from the line. But Graham is here to stay. Must roster player across 12s and 10-team leagues. Even in a game where the shooting wasn't there, the production's still fine. He looked pretty solid. While Miles Bridges, well, at least we got the rebounds here. 18 and 10, 2 triples a block. People are really disappointed with Miles Bridges this season. I'm not really sure why we're feeling like we're so let down. I talked about him the other day in the Buy Low podcast. The defensive numbers will start to come. The efficiency was way down, but he's back. Like, he's 120th ranked player so far this season. He's averaging 14 and 5, and the steal numbers are just insanely low compared to where they'd been before. And the free throws are down, like, how far are they down? They're like 11 percentage points less than last year. So there's significant room for him to get better. He is a must-roster player. PJ Washington, in the rookie report this morning, I said, hey, you know what? He's been good, but at some point the shot's probably going to fall off and the blocks are going to start to come. He had 5 blocks in this game and went 1 of 8 for 4 points. So I felt prescient in saying those things. Of course, that's not what's going to happen every game. But Washington remains a 12-team league guy. I tell you who else is going to be an interesting player: Cody Martin. I think it won't be long before he's ahead of Malik Monk, ahead of Dwayne Bacon, and then when Nick Batum returns, ahead of him. Now, that might take 2 months. It might be the Bruno Fernando timetable. These are things that you sort of have to look at heading, if they're going to happen. I thought Markelle Fultz would start by January. He's ahead of schedule. I thought Bruno Fernando would start by next year. We'll see. I don't think he's far off from actually getting the most minutes there in Atlanta. And I think Martin is going to come into this 6th-man, 7th-man role in this Hornets team. He plays hard. He's a winning basketball player. 3 assists, 2 steals. He could be like a Marcus Smart type of fantasy contributor. He's just a name to watch at this stage. Bacon, piss him off. He's not a 12-team league guy. You're well aware of that. And Cody Zeller, that's 3 shit ones in a row. One of them you can chalk up to foul trouble. One of them you can chalk up to a blowout. Another team and Bismack Biyombo getting them back in. This one, he was just bad. Simple as that. And they got killed with him on the court. 5 and 10. Now, he's better than this. He probably still is a hold. But if I've got Cody Zeller and PJ Washington's available, your Devontae Graham's available, they're easy switches. Like, they are simple switches, and I'd have no problem in moving on from Zeller to grab a guy like that. Great start. Cooling off pretty significantly at the moment. Biyombo probably outplayed him in this one. 8 and 2 for Bismack with 1 block. The NBA is back. College basketball is back. And if you want to prove your worth, if you want to prove your knowledge, your ability, why don't you go and check out mybookie.ag. With pro and college basketball tipping off, there's no better way to feel part of the action than to have a stake in the game. If you're the kind of guy who likes to bet a little to win a lot, try a parlay. For instance, if you like a couple of the big favorites this week, parlays, hey, we call parlays here multis, but anyway, parlays are perfect because they let you bet multiple games together. Hey, that's why we call them multis, for a much bigger payout. Either way, if you're going to bet this season, do the smart thing and go to mybookie.ag, because no one gives you more ways to win. If you want to support your team, don't sit on the sidelines. Get in the game with mybookie.ag. And if you join right now, MyBookie will double your first deposit. Use the promo code LOCKEDONNBA. That's all one word. And that activates your offer. Promo code LOCKEDONNBA to double your cash. Visit mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, and you get paid. All right, let's look now at the next game up on the agenda. We're looking at the OKC Thunder. That sounds so weird. The Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs get the win. Big win here in the end. 121-112. The Italian cock, Danilo Gallinari.
Hands off my cock!
He's been a little bit down, but this is good to see him get back in. 27 points, 5 triples, 5 rebounds, 2 steals. The 8 of 9 from the line is the real key thing there for Gallinari. That's the thing that really does swing his overall value, is being able to get to the line and hit those free throws, and that's exactly what he did here in this one. I think you'd probably need a few more of these type of games from Gallinari to really execute a sell high on him, but it's worth looking at. The early season Chris Paul struggles. Outside of the low assists, I think he's fine. 19, 2, and 5. I've detailed why I think the assists won't go back up because of the way the Thunder played, but he looks a lot better than what he did. While MC Hamidou Diallo. Stop. Hammer time. Diallo had 11 points, but importantly, he played 32 minutes. He had 2 assists, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. I think he's better than Terrence Ferguson, and I think it's only a matter of time, much like those other ones, before he's either starting over Ferguson or regularly, consistently playing more minutes than him. We might actually already be there in terms of the minutes. Diallo is worth a grab in a 16er. He's available in 97% of leagues. 16s, 18s, 20s, grab him. 14s, I guess it depends on who you're dropping, but he's absolutely worth looking at. He is so much improved this season versus last year, and those defensive numbers are nice. Gilgeous-Alexander had 21 points with 3 assists, not much else, pretty empty. While Terry Ferguson, he's doing his best Tony Snell impression. And Steven Adams, man, if you're not punting free throws with him, you are. Look, that's it. You've got no choice because he is the worst. Outside of Rowan Barrett, he is the worst free throw guy in the league. Missed all 4 of them here, 10 and 5. And the more worrying thing is the fact how much they're limiting his minutes. 27 minutes only for Adams here. That's a legitimate concern. Nerlens Noel, 20 minutes, 2 steals and a block. I don't know if it's the knee still bothering him, if there's other issues, but he is barely playing 30 minutes a night. Like, he's not getting to that level. And that's a real concern. He's not droppable yet, but shit, it's not far off. Interestingly, Darius Bazley took all of Mike Muscala's minutes, and Muscala was questionable before coming in, but he got on the court. He was fine to play, played only 37 seconds, and Bazley played 16 minutes. He's another one to watch for those deeper formats. He is starting to come up. Schroeder had 9 assists, which is obviously useful for 12-team leagues. If you've got him on a 12-team roster, if you honestly evaluate your roster, he's your worst player, which means most times you should be happy to drop him. For the Spurs, LaMarcus Aldridge, he is up and down, but he was up against the Thunder. He goes off against this team. 39 points on 83% shooting. That is obviously massive for Aldridge to do that. 6 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, and a block. While Dejounte Murray, the most interesting thing here with Dejounte Murray is the minutes. 26 minutes for Murray in this game. Murray put up 17 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists, 58% from the field. He hit all 3 of his free throws. He is looking really, really good. Some of this per minute stuff, again, I still have my doubts that it can continue, but it's going at this huge rate. The shooting is also a big worry, but he is absolutely killing it. He's available for God knows what reason in 14% of leagues. He's got to be rostered in every league. That makes Maximum Derek White a tough hold.
Maximum Derek.
Now, White played only 20 minutes. He was banged up with his glute. He hurt his ankle. 8, 3, and 3, 50% shooting. For him to be viable, he needs to play with Murray. And it just isn't happening. They've played about 2 seconds together all season. This is the real concern. Patience would say you hold on to Derek White. I'm not sure how much longer we can do it. I need to see them start to play together in the next week. Otherwise, it is just really tough to hold on to a bloke who maybe is not even a 16-team league guy at this point with how things are going. Bryn Forbes had 14 points in 23 minutes, so they did limit Forbes' minutes, but it wasn't White that got them. 4 triples for Forbesy, while Patty Mills had 10 points in his 23 minutes. Trey Lyles, he's just very middling. He's a deeper league guy. 8 points, 4 rebounds for him. DeMar DeRozan, 16, 6, and 9 with a steal for DeMar. Really strong percentages there for DeRozan as well. Let's move on now to the next game. We've got the Miami Heat and the Phoenix Suns. Big win for the Heat on the road. 124-108. Jim Butler went crazy. 30 first half points. Only 4 second half points, but 34 in the first half. 2 triples, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists on 69% shooting.
Giggity!
And 10 of 10 from the line. This is the Butler we envisaged coming over to Miami. It took a bit to get here, but here we are. While Bam Adebayo, 15, 10, and 6. 5 steals, a block, 67% shooting. The only thing you're annoyed at with Adebayo is the poor free throw shooting. He'd been a little bit down the last couple, but this was strong. While the Iron Shoulder, Goran Dragic, 25, 6, and 4. A real throwback sort. Some might say even a revenge game against the Phoenix Suns. The Tyler Hero Kendrick Nunn watch. Hero did get hot late. He ended with 15 points in 29 minutes, coming off the bench with 2 rebounds and 2 assists. Like, it's okay. He's still worth a hold. No Justice Winslow, who was after the game diagnosed as being in the concussion protocol, so you think he's missing a couple more. While Nunn played just 22 minutes, had 11 points with 2 rebounds. It is looking dire for both of these guys. That's 2 real stinkers in in one of the last 2 games, and a subpar one in the other one. So the last 2 from Hero and Nunn haven't been great. And then when we get a fully functioning Winslow back in there, it just, as it was at the beginning of the season, finding all the minutes and touches for these guys, it's hard to see how it all works out. Now, we had no Butler to begin with, then no Winslow, and big, hot nights from these guys. And we're starting to see it cool off. They are still guys to hold, but Hero's already only the 120th ranked player. Like, is he going to get better from there? Maybe, maybe not. Probably not would be the answer. Kelly Olynyk with another strong game, 7 and 5 with 2 steals, and Myers Leonard, who had that hot game, and now he's just disappeared. Only 13 minutes for Leonard in this one. 4 fouls limited him. It appears James Johnson is out of the rotation, but Derek Jones Jr. hurt his hip, and that meant that Johnson got into the game. 15 minutes for Johnson at the end after Jones was ruled out. Dion Waiters, still no action. He's just not going to play this season. I think that feels pretty straightforward at this stage. Duncan Robinson had the start in place of Winslow. 6 points with a 1-1 in his 28 minutes. He can be an interesting deeper stream guy on those nights that Winslow's out. For the Suns, Booker had 22, 3 and 5 wasn't his best night, but that's still really good. And the 8 of 8 from the line is strong, while ravishing Rick Rubio 11, 11 and 6, and Aaron Bainesy Baines 23 and 4. Baines is absolutely killing it at the moment. A must roster guy. Who knows what happens when DeAndre Ayton is back? But it doesn't matter. Like if Ayton comes back and Baines goes and plays 20 minutes, then you just go, well, that was a lovely 25 games worth of absolute ridiculous performance. There's some rumors, or with the way that he's playing with the starting lineup, would the Suns have the balls to bring Ayton off the bench? Would they start them together, which would be disgusting? But would they start them together? Maybe. So Baines is putting up some really good numbers. Šarić, not so much. 9 points in 29 minutes. He, to me, is not a must-roster 12-teamer. While Oubre only played 25 minutes here, 15 points. The 2 blocks are nice, but he is... After a hot start, he has definitely cooled off. He still remains a 12-team league guy, obviously. And a guy who isn't a 12-team league player is McCall Bridges. Williams just doesn't like him. Seems as simple as that. Just doesn't want to use him. 20 minutes, 5 points, 7 rebounds. Those 19 Cameron Johnson minutes, we don't need them. He shouldn't be playing that many minutes. They should be going to Bridges, but it's the way it's going. So I see no reason why we're holding on to Bridges in any 10 or 12. And honestly, probably 14-team leagues. Frank the Tank, he is back to being Frank Kaminsky, and that is no good. 3 points in 17 minutes for him, and he can be dropped in all 12s and probably 14-team league formats as well. All right, let's look at some injury news now that we heard. Ben Simmons, shoulder. He's got a grade 1 AC joint issue. So that's going to cost him at least the next 3 games. In terms of a stream option, there's very little there. It's Hull, Neto, it's Furkan Korkmaz, it's the painter Matisse Thybulle. None of them are absolute must run and grab them for 3 games. Maybe it extends to 5. We don't even know how that's going to run. Of course, if Josh Richardson's available, he shouldn't. But so many people ask me if they should drop him. So he's going to be around in at least one of your leagues. Go and add him. Then Derek Jones Jr. suffered that hip injury today. That puts James Johnson and Duncan Robinson back into the deeper league consideration. And then we get the news on Justice Winslow and his concussion, which you would think would almost automatically rule him out of Friday. We don't know that at this point. He is in the protocol. Maybe he gets cleared, but it seems unlikely. He is cleared to fly, and that just prolongs the none and hero marginal value for another, who knows, couple of days, week, who knows how long he's going to be in that concussion protocol. Let's flip it over now to have a look at some DFS action coming up for the games on Friday. 11 games on. We're going to be looking at DraftKings pricing for Friday. All right, this first game we take a look at the Memphis Grizzlies traveling to take on the Orlando Magic. The Magic are favored by 6.5 at home. The total is 208. Terrence Ross is doubtful, while Mo Bamba, he missed the last game.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
He is likely to play. That was just a rest, so he's likely to be back. Tyus Jones for the Grizzlies is listed as probable. At point guard, DJ Augustin's at 4,100. Now, he has played high minutes since coming off the bench, and I think with Ross's absence, he can get those decent minutes again. It's a good matchup for him going up against Ja Morant and the Grizzlies in a high-paced environment. Is he one that I want to use in cash? Probably not, but a 26, 27-point upside type of player. There is something there to see with him, while Markelle Fultz at 4,300, probably the other way around, a more steady floor, a 22, 23-point floor. Maybe it's 25-point upside, but that's not bad as a cash type of an option. Carter Williams went bananas last game, 34 points for MCW. He's at 4,100. If he gives you that value back, it's fantastic. I just don't really think we can trust that, although his minutes will push up with Ross out, while Tyus Jones at 4,000 and Ja Morant at 72. The minutes cap on Morant is the concern. His production's been insane, averaging 38 over his last 5, which at 7,200 is plenty. But can we still rely upon him to do this in 28, 29 minutes? I get recent history would say yes, but he is also shooting at like 50% from three. So if the shot doesn't fall, then in those limited minutes, it's hard to get those numbers back up to that level. So he probably is someone that I would steer clear of here. Fournier's at 4,400. He's been really terrible lately. Dylan Brooks is someone to look at. He's up to 5,600. Now, Grayson Allen has been ruled out for the Grizzlies, and in those situations, Brooks' numbers have risen. He's giving us 32 a night over the last three. Normally not a big fan of Dylan Brooks, but when he's got the opportunity, like he has at the moment, he's someone we at least have to consider. Small forwards, the Chief, Al-Farouq Aminu.
Sometimes may be good, sometimes may be shit.
Oh, he was real shit last game. Just 5 points in that one, but an opportunity, I guess, more importantly, to have a crack with Ross out. I'm still not getting too interested in him. Aaron Gordon at 6,000. I love that. I think it's real solid cash floor. While the man, Johnny Isaac, 6,600. He was a monster against Porzingis. 53 points last time out against Dallas. He's getting these blocks pretty much every game. He's giving us 34, 35 points a night. And at 6,600, I feel pretty good about his floor. He looks to have curtailed his fouling problem, giving us hope for a bloke on the other side of the court as well. Let's talk about more small forwards here before I get onto that bloke. 5,100 for Jay Crowder. Shots went down last game. Steals were there. That gave us 32 points. It's really not reliable. The big man I am talking about, of course, is Triple J, Jaren Jackson Jr. His price has plummeted down to $5,000. He is out of confidence. He has had 14 combined real-life points in the last 3 games. He can't hit a shot. He can't stay out of foul trouble. His fouling is worse this year than what it was last year. But $5,000 is a super cheap price for Jackson. And if he can stay on, you look at his first 2 games of the year, he put up big numbers. If he can stay on at $5,000, there's real value there. So it is a GPP option that most people will be fading. Nikola Vucevic is down at 7,800. I really like that. While Jonas Valanciunas at 63 also looks to be a solid cash option. We saw his minutes push to 27 last game. Brandon Clark at 5,100. Almost a lock for 25, it feels like most nights, Clarko. So I don't mind him there at that salary. Some significant value and real good play that he is offering. I know real good play is terrible English, so I apologize for that. The Cleveland Cavaliers and the Washington Wizards. The Wizards are making a change in their starting lineup. Isaac Bonga is moving out. Now, whether it's Troy Brown or CJ Miles hasn't been announced yet. I think it will be Miles, but I still think that Brown will get the bulk of those minutes. That could push Bonga right out of the rotation now that Brown and Miles are back. They should be playing Bonga instead of Miles. There's no reason to play 35-year-old often injured CJ Miles. There's absolutely no reason. Now, the Wizards here, though, are 5-point favorites. The total is 228.5 at point guard. Isaiah Thomas, since he started, has been shithouse. I do think this is a great opportunity going up against Sexland in that backcourt for point guards to do some damage. He could be a 35-point guy. I really like him here. If he burns me here, then you have to have real concerns about how he fits in this starting lineup. Ish Smith's at 41. I don't trust that. Darius Garland, God no. And 5,500 for Colin Sexton. He's scoring, we know that, and that's strong. That gives him a really strong floor base. It gives him no upside because he does nothing else. But still, against Isaiah Thomas, I think he can be a 30-point-ish type of guy. So I do like Sexton here. Jordan Clarkson, also a strong floor player, getting these extra minutes with Garlow suffering or struggling. 48 for Clarko is a solid enough cash option. For these shooting guards, Troy Brown himself, 4,400, stinker last game, 39 the game before, so somewhere in between we're looking at. If he starts, GPP got value because he can rebound, he gets assists, he gets steals. He's like the anti-Colin Sexton, pretty much. Beal's at 8,600, I love that price for Bealo. 40 points shouldn't be that hard for him to come up against the Sexland backcourt, so I really like Beal here, pretty strongly. Kevin Porter should be back after his 1-game suspension, but he is not an option at small forward. Chetty Osman's at 44, not really excited. Davis Bertans at 41. I'm much more interested in Bertans as a GPP upside guy. And at power forward, Rui Hachimura at 4,600. A couple of real turd burgers from Rui recently. An 11-point game and a 6-point game in the last 3. And then he has like 33 pointers in there. 4,600 is nice and cheap. That's a big $900 drop from Hachimura. And that should at least get us interested in using him, but probably more for tournaments. Larry Nance at 49. His last 3 against the Wizards, 40 points a game. That's stunning. It's a good matchup. Will he get the minutes? I have significant worries. I would much rather use someone like the tank, Tom Bryant. He comes in at 6,700. He had 38 last game. I feel like he's got a good floor, makes him a good cash guy. Maybe he's not necessarily a high upside player, but I do like Bryant quite a bit. Kevin Love's at 93. verging on a little bit too expensive. I think that is for love. It's not crazy, but it is verging a little bit too high. While Thompson at 75, I would much rather take Tristan Thompson in a great matchup for him, with him giving us 35 almost tonight and saving almost $2,000 over Kevin Love. And the other big man we need to talk about, no, Flaming Mo Wagner's at 42, who's been putting up okay numbers, but a massive propensity to foul, not unlike Jaren Jackson Jr. that we did talk about earlier. Let's move on to the next game. We're looking at the Detroit Pistons and the Indiana Pacers. No Blake Griffin, no Derrick Rose, no Reggie Jackson, no Tim Frazier, so it's the Duck Shark combo in that backcourt.
Baby shark,
Luke Kennard and Bruce Brown will get another start. Miles Turner has been listed as questionable for the Pacers, but we know that the Dart Goga Bitadze is out.
Problem with my Gogo-mobile. Gogo-mobile? No, not the Dart. Not the Dart.
Not the Dart, indeed. Jeremy Lamb is also out, so we're likely to get another Aaron Holiday start, more minutes for Justin Holiday and Timothy John McConnell. And with Bitadze out, if Miles Turner happens to sit, that means we get more minutes for Jakar Sampson, more minutes for TJ Leaf as well. Maybe Alize Johnson can come in and be an interesting enough backup player. At point guard, Holiday's at 4,200. He had 24 points last game. It is an excessive rise on DraftKings, $1,100, but I do think that he has some appeal here, while Malcolm Brogdon at 8,300. Love that. Really, really strong play. TJ McConnell's at 32. Langston Galloway's at 4,000. Yeah, not interested. Shooting guards I am interested in, though. Luke Kennard, 6,200. He's been a 30-point guy almost every night. Really looking good at the moment. Love him here. Tone Snell's at 43. If you didn't see it, Tony Snell had 33 DraftKings points last game. Perfect 9 of 9 shooting. I'll put my money on the table. I'll put my dick on the table as well and say that he is not going to shoot 9 of 9 from the field. It's bold, but I'm not sure that he's going to be quite that good in this one. The Shark, Bruce Brown, 5,600. A little bit down last game. That's an excessive price for a bloke that does struggle at times, but the assists have been real. 7, 7, and 6 in the 3 games that he started at point guard. It all comes down to whether some offense can flow through the Shark. At 56 is probably a bit too much for me to take that risk. Holiday, Justin at 3,500 has been really bad, averaging just 14 points in 23 minutes, so that's going to be a no from me. Markieff Morris at 4,400. Atrocious until last game where he had 39 points in 29 minutes. He's going to be starting again. Can he turn it around? Maybe. I'm not all that interested in him. While Tony Warren Jr. is at 6,100. I love that with Jeremy Lamb out. He should be looking at 30 pretty comfortably. And then looking to add on top of that as well. Dougie McDirt, much like Tone Snell. It's the McDirt-Snell matchup. The former Bulls do nothing forwards. McDirt had 37 in 31 minutes last game. DraftKings points, $4,200. And again, if Turner's out, that does open up more minutes for McDirt. Whether he can capitalize on that, I'll put my money on saying no, he can't. But hey, weird things happen, and we saw weird things happen last game. At center, Christian Wood, 3,800. Only for tournaments. We just can't rely upon his production or his playing time. Well, Sabonis at 8,700. Look, he's going to put up close to 50, and at close to 50, you have to like it. Drummond's at 10.5 again. He's going to put up close to 60. Both of these guys look good. Sabonis becomes an absolute lock, I believe, if Turner is out. As for Miles himself, 6,800 for Turner. Coming back off an ankle, I'm not ready to get back into the Miles Turner business, and I'm sure as shit not ready to get back into the Thon McCare business. Next up, we have got the Sacramento Kings and the Atlanta Hawks. The Kings on the road are favored by 1.5, and the total is 217.5. The Undertaker, Dwayne Dedmon, is questionable. Harry Giles is questionable. Now, with Bagley out, if Dedmon doesn't play, and if Giles doesn't play, who the hell is playing backup center minutes behind Rashawn Holmes? Wynya Gabriel? Maybe Caleb Swanigan? Shit, it's going to get pretty rough. Nemanja Bjelica is going to play center. I don't know. It's going to be tough. But the problem is Holmes is not going to play 40 minutes because he can't, because he'll get into foul trouble. So while he'll push up a little bit, and if he stays out of foul trouble, it's going to be an absolute monster for Holmesy. But that is going to be a struggle. But if those guys are out, there's going to be some weird options like a Gabriel have to come in and do something in that situation. At point guard, Trae Young's at 8,900, really struggled last time out. That is a high salary for Young. This is a decent matchup. Hopefully the Kings can push the pace a little bit to help us. I like Trae here, but I'm not super involved in it. Cam Reddish at 38, that's going to be a strong no. Well, De'Aaron Foxy Fox is at $8,000. I actually like his floor. His lowest score in his last 5 games has been 38. That is a really, really strong floor number for Fox. Bembry at 4,300, probably not the same opportunity that he needs here. Corey Joseph and Ty Wallace are big no's. Bogdan Bogdanovic, 4,500. Now, what we could hopefully see with Bogdan. Now, last game, he played 32 minutes and had 35 points because he is actually still a good player. If we do get Dedmon out and we have to push Bjelica more to center, does that mean we get more of the common sense lineups of having Harrison Barnes at power forward and Bogdanovic at the 3? Or will we get more of this Trevor Ariza foolishness? So that is the concern. So I'm not ready to go all in on Bogdanovic here. Healed at 6,700, limited upside, lovely floor, great cash, limited tournament guy. While Kevin Vanderpants Herter at 4,300 just quite isn't at that level yet. Small forward DeAndre Hunter at 43 hasn't really been good most games. His highest score is 29 so far, which is all right, but it's nothing spectacular. If you get 29 at 4,300, you're okay with it, only for tournaments. While Jabari at 64, really crushing it, 30 a night, love him here. And he's not doing it unsustainably. He's shooting like 15% from 3 or something in his 2 starts. So there is value for him to actually get better than what he's been in these last 2 contests. Harrison Barnes at 5,900, the pencil. Really playing well. He's more aggressive offensively. He's scoring 5,900. Look, at 55, I'd be all right with it. 59 is pushing maybe too high. But with how he's going at the moment, it is hard to ignore, especially in a cash lineup. I'm happy to ignore Trevor Ariza. At center, Bruno Fernando, 3,300. 22 points, 21 minutes. It's coming, guys. He's going to be the center that gets the most minutes on this team pretty soon. And maybe it's as early as this one. It was last game, actually. Rashawn Holmes at 58. Love that. Again, that can really blow up. If he doesn't get into foul trouble, this could be a real massive Holmesy game. Not sure he's going to be able to do it, but you never know. 46 for Bjelica is not interesting me. Dedmon, Len, Damo Jones, they're not getting it done either. Next game up on the schedule, we've got the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. We know that D'Angelo Russell has been upgraded to probable. Draymond Green is out. Jordan Bell is questionable. Jeff Teague is questionable.
My name is Jeff.
And Shabazz Napier is doubtful. So with Russell coming back, that puts a real limit, I think, on what the Archer Kai Bowman can do. He'd been playing like 38 minutes a night as the only point guard, and when Russell comes back, I'm just not sure that they're going to play those two together for 35, and I'm pretty confident they won't, in fact. As for Russell, 8,400. Last game he played, he had 49. 8,400, I think, is a decent enough price for D'Angelo, so I'm happy to go there. While Teague at 57, if he plays, I like it. If he doesn't, well, I don't like it. That should be pretty obvious. And Alec Burks at 5,200, a real monster from him. It's real hard to get a full gauge on this Warriors team. Things are all up in the air. Russell coming back further complicates it. I'd only want to use Burksy as a GPP guy. They've slapped a $1,200 price rise on him, which obviously makes it less interesting, and the Archer Kai Bowman at 5,500. That's a big, strong no from me. At shooting guard, Andrew Wiggins, Andy, 7,100. Love what he's doing. Look, he's really putting up numbers. 40 points over the last 3. I actually feel okay about using Andrew Wiggins, especially at that salary. Geordie Poole he's a gunner. He's a terrible shooter. He's not a good player. I'm not interested in him. While Jarrett Culver at 5,000. Now, that's an $1,800 price rise for Culver. If Teague is out, then he's still going to be able to make that value. 33 last game, but if Teague is in, that's a fade. Okogie's at 4,100, not super interested there, while Damian Lee at 46. He's been putting up 25 a night, which is not bad, but I think Russell coming back also has a marginal impact on his output. At small forward, Layman's at 36, no. Covington's at 5,400. He's not quite where we need him to be. The low minutes are a concern. I'm not looking to invest there. Little dog Glenn Robinson had 5,400. He's been okay, he's up and down, but again, like the Alec Burks, Jordan Poole situation, working out the Warriors' value is really, really tough, and it's not one that we need to, or not one that we can really be getting too overly involved in. While the triangle, Eric Paschall at 6,600, no Draymond out still. Now, last game he wasn't able to get to that level, and this is the worry we had with him, is that salary had become too inflated. I think it may still be a little bit inflated at that $6,600 mark. I think it's probably still a bit too high because it's basing it off that Portland game where he went bananas, and I'm just not sure he's quite that guy at this stage. It's not a bad play, but 11 games on, I reckon you can find better ones. One of the better ones is Karl Anthony Towns, 10-3. That is as smashable as it gets. Lock it in for 50, probably getting 60. Love Towns here. Cauley Stein's at 4,400. Yeah, I reckon he might struggle a little bit against Towns. Vonleh at 35. Spellman, the Wizard, Marquise Chris. Look, the Wizard had 30 points last time out. They bumped him to 45, which is high. Yeah, I'm not sure we can really get too interested in Omari Spellman at this point. Next game up, The Toronto Raptors and the New Orleans Pelicans. These guys have already played each other once. This ends their season series. The Raptors are favored by 2.5, and the total is 234 points. JJ Redick has shown up on the injury report. He is questionable with a knee issue, while Lonzo Ball and Derek Favors are both probable. At point guard, Fred VanVleet's at 6,200. We know what he did against them in the first game this season. 6,200 is a pretty strong price. It's a high-paced game. I like VanVleet here. Lonzo's at 68. I'd rather take Fred at that 6,200 mark, while Frankie Jackson at 33. He's always got the ability to pop off for a weird 30-pointer because he does nothing else apart from score, but sometimes he can get super hot and score in big bunches. So he's only a tournament-type guy, while Lowry at 83 and Holiday at 79. Despite the people talk about how disappointing Drew Holiday has been, he's not that far off what Lowry's been doing. 44 over the last 3 to Lowry, 37 for Drew. Now, of course, you want Drew to be doing more than that, but which one of these two would I prefer? 83 for Kyle and 79 for Drew. It probably still is Lowry because he's just getting so many minutes and he's playing really, really well. But, am I totally sold on him at that price? I wouldn't say so. The Hitman, Josh Hart, 5,600, love that, especially with Redick having a question mark over his status. I love that spot for what's his name? I forgot it now. Josh Hart, that's the one. I love that for him at that price. The shooting guards, Norm Powell at 39, that's a no. Redick at 42 is also a strong no. Terrence Davis, Matt Thomas, just a whole bunch of no's. At small forward, Brandon Ingram, 8,100, just an absolute monster last time out, 56 points. 8,100 is expensive. He's been achieving that number. I have some regression concerns, as I've highlighted plenty of times. I still think he's not a bad play at 8,100 with a relatively solid floor. The Jedi, OG Anunoby.
Hello there.
He's at 5,800 because he's hitting every shot and he's blocking every shot. Will all that stuff be able to continue? The odds say probably not. So I reckon you find a better small forward out there. At the big men spots, Pascal Siakam's at 88. Love the floor value of Pascal here. Could be a 50-point type of guy. Jahlil Okafor at 36. He started last game even with Favors back, had 12 points in 21 minutes. He'd be a tournament guy really, but I don't see too much out of him. While Gasol at 52 is a strong no, and Serge Ibaka at 59. I don't mind that for Ibaka. I think it might be just a little bit elevated in terms of price to really bring value back though. All right, let's go on to the next game. It is the New York Knickerbockers and the Dallas Mavericks. Porzingis gets to take on his former team. Not back in New York, though. The Mavericks are favored by 11. The total is 216.5. Dennis Smith and Lord Alfred Payton are out, so probably more big Frank Ntilikina minutes. Here at point guard, Delon Wright's at 42. Really disappointing lately. I think we'll fade off of him. Or Doncic at 99. Really like Donk there. That's a strong price tag for him. He's a 50-point guy most of the time, and I'm not really sure how the Mavericks are going to slow him down. Rowan Barrett at 6,800. He's putting up strong counting numbers. He's a 35-point guy most nights. I'm okay with him there. While Frankie Ntilikina at 4,300 actually got to that value. It took a lot to get there. 26 points. I'm not super keen. Actually, I'm not keen at all on using him. Alonzo Trio got a chance to show us that he is better than Doncic in this game. I don't think we should trust it. Seth Curry, also not really into him. Timmy Hardaway, Wayne Ellington, big nose. At small forward, Dorian Finney-Smith is at 3,700. He can be like a 26-point guy. I don't think we rely upon it, and therefore we won't use it. While Marcus Morris, he's playing well, no doubt about that. 5,800 for Morris. I think you have to look at that as a really strong cash option, while the Fort Kevin Knox is probably going to be a no. The big man, Dwight Powell, really good last game, 4,400, a great matchup. No Mitch Robinson for the Knicks as well, so he's going to get the bug-eyed turnstile, Punch Bob Shiplock. 44 for Dwight Powell is, I think, pretty strong. Kleber's at 41. Porzingis is at 76. Porzingis has been struggling a little bit, but I do like his ability to get to 40. That makes him an interesting GPP guy. While Randall all the way down at 6,900.
Giggity!
Because he's been playing bad, that's pretty much why he's there. But I think there is a good opportunity for him to get back to that. And with Robinson out, the 3,200 for Taj Gibson, if he gets you 20 points, he's done his job. Whether he starts or whether Porter starts remains to be seen, but I don't mind looking at Taj, especially if we hear that he's starting. 55 for Portis is a GPP option. We know he can be a 30-point guy, he could be a 10-point guy, and that is why he is only a tournament type of guy for DFS. Let's go on to the next one. We're looking at the Philadelphia 76ers and the Denver Nuggets. Ben Simmons is out. The Peacemaker won't be playing in this one. Somebody has to deal with his shoulder, try and calm him down with their hands. Gary Harris is probable. Paul Millsap is playing after suffering that nasty gash on his head in the last game. At point guard, well, actually, we don't know what the Sixers are going to do. Will they start Howell Neto? Will they start Furkan Korkmaz and push Josh Richardson over to point guard? Will we get a wild card Trey Burke? Will we get the painter Matisse Thybulle back in there? I would guess that Neto comes in, but I think the other second likely one is that we get Korkmaz in for Richardson. At point guard, Neto, 3,400. Regardless of if he starts or not, at 3,400, he's super, super valuable here, so I do like Neto quite a bit. Well, the Blue Arrows at 6,500. He's just chugging along, giving us 30 a night, and he hasn't really had a big game at any point, so I think there is some pretty nice value there in Jamal Murray at that salary. Joshie Richardson's at 57. I really like him here as well, with Simmons out. Shooting guard, Gaz Harris at 44. Only for tournaments, he's not really giving us what we need, while Korkmaz at 34 is an interesting GPP guy also. 5,300 for Fart and Will Barton. Been a 30-point guy most nights, and that's enough at 5,300, so I like him here. Especially if we weirdly get Gary Harris ruled out, while the Painters at 31, Matisse Thybulle not keen on that. For the small forwards, Toby Harris at 64. I like that price for Harris, especially with Simmons out. More usage will get funneled through to him. And then for the big men, Nikola Jokic at 8,500. He has averaged 57 points the last 3 times against the Sixers. His price is super low. I can't not be interested in it, in having a look at it, in trying to at least put him into a tournament. While Embiid at 10-4, he is just in really crush mode at the moment. 50 points a night, pretty much. Came back from that issue last game or that suspension, and performed pretty well. Al Horford at 6,000. It is hard to use him when Embiid is there. Millsap at 49. Jeremy Grant not super strong targets in my opinion. The next game for us to look at is a big slate, of course, 11 games. The Milwaukee Bucks and the Utah Jazz. The Bucks are 1.5 point favorites, and the total is 219 points. At point guard, Mike Conley is down at 6,600 because he has been struggling. This is a great GPP opportunity for Conley, but that's all I feel comfortable with. While Don Mitchell's at 7,700. He's been averaging 42 points the last 5 games. No reason for me to think that he can't at least get to 40 again. So I like the Don. While Eric Bledsoe at 6,000. Also under the radar because he has some dumb shit that he does, like walking the ball in from inbounds. He's been giving us those numbers, and he's been doing it pretty well. He's been scoring efficiently. I think he's back to a degree, so I do like him here. At shooting guard, actually, George Hill had a monster last game. I don't really believe we should buy into that. Shooting guard Chris Middleton stunk it up last game. Has been a little bit under. I think that makes him an interesting low roster percentage GPP guy. DiVincenzo, Paddy Connaughton, Wes Matthews, they're all just sort of going to cannibalize each other's minutes. For the small forward, Jingle and Joe's at 49. He is still struggling, I think, to adjust to his new role, and that makes him pretty tough to use. O'Neal is not doing it, while Giannis Antetokounmpo is at 11,500. He has averaged 74 the last 3 times, and that is really, really good. So if you're not going with Towns, Antetokounmpo looks like a pretty strong option. Jeff Green at 32. Bojan Bogdanovic, he's the one we're going to look at. Bogdanovic is averaging 33 over the last 5, but his salary all the way up at 6,400. I think that's too far, and I wouldn't feel comfortable using Bogdanovic at that salary. The big men, Gobert, 8,200, back on track last game. It is a strong enough matchup for him here. I think he can get close to 40. I think there are better centers out there like Jokic, like Towns, like Embiid that we've talked about already. Tone Bradley, Brook Lopez. Lopez was big last game with a 45-pointer. Had been a little bit down. I think he can get to 30 here. So I actually like him saving that money over Gobert at 5,500. He would be the center that I would use, even if I think he will score less than Gobert. That should go without saying. Next game up, getting towards the end, the Brooklyn Nets and the Portland Trail Blazers. The Blazers are favored by 3. The total is 233 points. DeAndre Jordan is questionable with his ankle injury. If he is out, you're going to probably get Henry Allenson come in as the backup center. Jarrett Allen should push for more minutes as the starter. At point guard, McCollum's at $6,000. It's only really able to use him as a GPP guy at this point, while Lillard at $9,000. I love that. Really strong value in cash and in tournaments. Irving at $97 also. He's like a 50-point guy seemingly every night, so I think that Kyrie is a strong option. Spencer Dinwiddie is not. He is struggling. Rocket Rodney Hood's at $36. That makes him a good GPP guy, but that is it. Bazemore is going to be a no from me, while Karis LeVert at $64. I think that's just pricing him too high. While Smoking Joe Harris at $51. He's like a 30-point guy every night here, banging in threes at a stupid high rate, in fact. Is he an upside guy? No. Is he a floor guy? Probably not. And that's why I'm not all that keen. At small forward, Mario Hezonja at $3,900. probably coming off the bench again like he did on Thursday behind Anthony Tolliver, but he's got that upside play at under $4,000 as the more productive of those power forwards, while the artist formerly known as Taurean Prince, rebounding the ball well, shooting well. $6,000 is a hefty price to pay for Prince, but he's putting up good numbers. The matchup suits him. I don't dislike him entirely here. That's Hazza for tepid praise. $6,500 for Hassan Whiteside. I think that's good. I think we can look at a 40-pointer type performance from Whiteside here pretty comfortably. Tone Tolliver's at 31. That's a no. DeAndre Jordan, no. And then Jarrett Allen at 5,000. Well, if Jordan is out, Allen at 5,000 gets a really, really strong value boost, I believe. The last game of the night, we're looking at the Miami Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers at point guard, or we don't know the status at this point, of Justice Winslow, who had to miss Thursday's game. Rajon Rondo is doubtful for the Lakers, and Avery Bradley is questionable. Obviously, if Bradley is out, we get those minutes distributed to Quinn Cook, to Troy Daniels, and to Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. At point guard, Winslow is priced at $5,000. It's pretty tough to feel reliable with him at the moment. Kendrick Nunn at $5,000, more of a GPP guy. LeBron at $10,600. I like, obviously, quite a lot. It's LeBron. He's been putting up massive, massive numbers. While the Iron Shoulder, Goran Dragic at $5,200. It is a back-to-back for the Heat. Played pretty well against the Suns. I'm not sure that he is a super high target here. Alex Caruso, the bald mamba at $3,400. Pretty tough to look at that. Avery Bradley similarly. Jim Butler at 74. He absolutely annihilated Phoenix. It's 30 points in the first half. $7,400 for Jim. Have to love that price. That is an absolute massive win at that salary. Tyler Hero at 53. More reliant, I think, on Winslow being out to get him involved at 5,300. And KCP, that's a strong no. At small forward, the future MVP, Kyle Kuzma at 46. Not enough minutes or ability for me to get too interested in using him. And then for the big men, Tone Davis, 10-1. Been a little bit under, averaging just 45 over the last three, but I think this is a great opportunity for him to put up some numbers. Bam Bam Adebayo at 7,000. There are better options around than Bam at that salary. Olynyk and Leonard are tough to get a grasp on, while 4,900 for Dwight. I think that's almost close to his upside type level, and that is not the type of guy that you want to be using in DFS at that salary. If we flip it over to FanDuel now and go through some value plays, Neto, Troy Brown, Jarrett Culver, they all get some value boosts. Carter Williams and DJ Augustin with the Terrence Ross omission. There is some upside GPP play value there. Bob Portis at 4,400 with Mitchell Robinson out. Aaron Holiday, Townsy, Jokic, Dwight Powell, Beal, McCollum, Embiid, Valanciunas, Fox, Johnny Isaac is at 7,000, but he still can exceed that number. Rashawn Holmes and Nikola Vucevic all come in looking pretty strong over on FanDuel. That will wrap it up for today's show, guys. Don't forget to subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter at @RedRock_Beeble and on Instagram at LockedOnFantasyBasketball. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya. Bradley Beal.